What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is staying safe. If you had to take a COVID test, hopefully you tested negative. Today in this building, we're going to read over some changes the CDC has made to recommendations for ventilation in buildings. As you know, on May 11th, the pandemic emergency ended in the U.S. by the CDC, HHS, and the White House. Conveniently, one day later, the CDC decided to make some changes on ventilation in buildings. For those who do not know what ventilation means, it basically has to do with the airflow in a building, the cleaning of air. HVAC systems help with that, all that good stuff. So let's read some of the changes that the CDC made, like how much ventilation is enough, flushing of the air in buildings, do-it-yourself air cleaners such as Corsi boxes. They actually recommend that now. To make stuff like that. So here's what you need to know. This is what the CDC says. An important principle to remember when contemplating mitigation strategies is to first do no harm. Building owners and operators should strongly consider seeking expert consultation when considering mitigation strategies if they lack knowledge and experience in implementing those strategies. Then it says, airborne viral particles spread between people more readily indoors than outdoors. Indoors, the concentration of viral particles is often higher than outdoors. Protective indoor ventilation practices can reduce airborne viral concentrations and the overall viral exposure to occupants. So, hello, they're finally saying the word airborne. We knew this was an airborne virus all along. They're actually finally saying buildings need to be ventilated because of the airborne spread of the virus. I mean, how long did it take for them to say that? It took for them until the pandemic emergency ended. Just unbelievable. Let's go to the next paragraph. Ventilation system upgrades or improvements can increase the delivery of clean air and dilute potential contaminants. Buildings that provide healthy code-compliant indoor air quality prior to the pandemic can be improved for pandemic and post-pandemic occupancy using less costly interventions. So here's something else interesting. They say pandemic and post-pandemic. Key word, they still say the word pandemic because obviously they still believe we're in a pandemic despite the emergency ending. Let's read the next one. While mitigation strategies can be universally applied across many indoor environments, applying them to different building types, occupancies, and activities under environmental and seasonal changes can be challenging. The building owner or operator should identify which strategies are appropriate for each building throughout the year. So that's interesting. And let's come down to the next one. Implementing multi-building level mitigation strategies at the same time is consistent with CDC's layered approach and will increase overall effectiveness of ventilation interventions. So let's go down here and read some of the things that they say to do. Improving air circulation. If you do nothing else, ensure existing HVAC systems are providing at least a minimum outdoor ventilation requirement in accordance with ventilation design codes. And it says here, preferably upgrade HVAC system performance to meet current ventilation code requirements at current occupancy levels. Increase the introduction of outdoor air beyond code minimum requirements. And they're actually telling here, open the outdoor air dampers on your HVAC equipment beyond minimum settings to reduce or eliminate HVAC air recirculation. In mild weather, this will not affect thermal comfort or indoor humidity. However, this may be difficult to do in cold, hot, or humid weather. Open windows and doors when weather conditions allow to increase outdoor airflow. Even a slightly open window can introduce beneficial outdoor air. So they're actually saying, open the windows now. I mean, this is just blowing me away, the fact that they're finally saying all the things we've been saying all this time since the beginning of the pandemic. It took 3 years of this pandemic and the end of the pandemic emergency for them to finally recognize how important air ventilation and clean air is. Let's keep reading on. Here's part 3. Use fans to increase the effectiveness of open windows. To safely achieve this, fan placement is important and will vary based on room configuration. Avoid placing fans in a way that could potentially cause contaminated airflow directly from one person to another. Below on indoor use of fans. So there's an FAQ. And I'm going to post a link to this page so you can read the new recommendations yourself. If you want to read anything or click on that a little bit right there, go right ahead. Alright, section 4. Rebalance or adjust HVAC systems to increase total airflow to occupied spaces when possible. Increase total airflow to increase room air mixing and reduce viral particle concentration and subsequent exposure potential. Turn off any demand-controlled ventilation DCV controls that reduce air supply based on occupancy or temperature during occupied hours. Here's one. In homes and buildings where the HVAC fan operation can be controlled at the thermostat, set the fan on position instead of auto, which will operate the fan continuously even when heating or air conditioning is not required. Let's go down here to improving air cleanliness. Upgrade the central HVAC filter efficiency to a minimum efficiency reporting value, MERV-13 or better, when compatible with your HVAC system. Increase filtration efficiency is especially helpful when enhanced outdoor air delivery operations are limited. And if we come down here and go to step 3, this is the most important one. At least I think it is. HEPA air filtration. Here's what it says here. Use portable or built-in high-efficiency air HEPA filtration systems. So air purifiers, the small ones, make sure they are at minimum a HEPA filter. HEPA filter is the best you can do. It will actually suck in the virus that may be in there and allergens and anything else in there. It will stick to the filter and then it will spit out the clean air. So let's read this. Use HEPA systems to enhance air cleaning, especially in higher risk areas such as a medical office or areas frequently inhabited by people with a higher likelihood of having COVID-19 and or increased risk of getting COVID. In-room air cleaners that use filters less efficient than HEPA filters also exist and can contribute to air cleaning. However, they should be clearly labeled as non-HEPA units. I don't recommend using an air filter that's not a HEPA, and the one thing I do recommend is we need to have these in schools. HEPA air filtration systems where you have schools with hundreds, if not thousands of kids at once. It just needs to be a thing. They are such a breeding ground for viruses to spread. One kid comes in with the flu, multiple people get the flu. One kid comes in with COVID, half the school could get COVID in a relatively short period of time. And continuing down here, it says how much ventilation is enough. Aim for 5 air changes per hour. So 5 air changes per hour, that's pretty effective. And I believe, or at least most air purifiers, it tells you, based on the size, the square footage, what range it can do. It can also tell you how many times it can clean the air within an hour. All of that good stuff. And we won't continue reading on here. I just wanted to read you to the most important aspects of these changes. I think there's some pretty significant changes. Changes they should have made not just months ago, multiple years ago. By mid to late 2020, they should have been saying this stuff. But they waited until the end of the pandemic emergency, and here we are. I guess you could say better late than never. Alrighty, I'll link this down below, and thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button down below. I'll see everyone again later on today for the full pandemic update video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and stay safe.